Hello. I'm Leah. This is Yin. Today we are going to be focusing on the lower back especially, but we'll get into other parts of the body just to help find balance. I would like for you to start in a supported child's pose, if that is something that feels good for your body. So using pillows, blocks, bolsters, a mix of all of it. If you're using blocks, I would recommend placing either towels or blankets over them. So for the supported child's pose, most of you guys know, just placing whatever prop you have right in front of you, these coming to the outside of the edge, and then just rest the chest down. And we're starting here so that we can really find a place of comfort and of ease. If you really prefer to start in a traditional child's pose, you can. But what I'd like, and the reason I'm saying to start supported, is because it gives a little bit more elevation and it allows the spine to start flatter. So once we're in a more traditional child's pose, there's a lot more rounding in the low back. And what we want is a little bit more elevation and a lot more support. And we're going to let this be where we find our centering and really dig into the meat of the start of our practice. Notice if the feet need some support, something soft beneath them. If it feels better to turn your head in one direction or the other. If you have anything to weight, like a bag of rice or a sandbag on the low back, I would suggest placing it there if you can. Wiggle through the toes, drum through the fingers. Shift through the hips, right to left. And then begin to settle down. Notice the places where there's connection. The knees, the shins, tops of the feet, forearms and the hands, all connecting to the floor. And now feel the torso, the abdomen, resting against your props. Let the eyes softly close. And the breath to gradually deepen. Thinking of your breath as the doorway into your practice. The breath as the doorway into progress. So with each inhale, imagine opening a door. Exhale, imagine that space of the doorway getting bigger as the body settles down. As if you're walking through a maze of doors. And perhaps you'd like to add in the right brain and get creative. You can imagine doors, what they look like, color or texture to them. And what else is in your maze? This door maze that's in your mind as we breathe, as we open these doors, and as we step through the threshold. Perhaps adding space at the bottom of the breath after the exhale to look around, to pick the next door for you to walk through. To open with your inhale, and to expand the space to walk through on the exhale. Perhaps the doors, the appearance of them represent your mood today. Your energy. It can be brightly colored. Maybe natural material. Perhaps you'd like to be very creative and playful. They're not doors, but bead curtains, tapestries of fabric that you're sweeping aside with your inhale. Feeling the breath settle the body. Using this imagery as a tool for your meditation. Once you begin to feel peace throughout the body, a weighted feeling onto the floor, onto your prop, and space in the mind, feel free to release the tool and be with the breath. Letting your mantra for today's practice be breath is the doorway in. As we move from pose to pose today, from thought to thought, even from one meditation to the next, we're using the breath to get us there. Using the breath as the doorway through transitions, through movement. And now bring attention specifically towards your inhale. With each inhale, allow your awareness to be taken deeper and deeper inward. Staying with this awareness, with the inhale, letting the exhale become passive. Intentional inhales and a release, a softening in your exhale. Noticing the body as you do so. Any feelings of peace, of softness, of awareness. And now, release your breath to its own intelligence, finding its own rhythm. But stay with your deeper awareness. What is present in the landscape of your mind? Perhaps an intention for your practice is naturally arising. How you'd like to feel. The attitude you'd like to have, to hold. Which doorways you'd like to walk through. Today and other days as well. Begin to move through the hands and the feet. Again, drumming through the fingers, wiggling through the toes. If you'd like to turn your head in the opposite direction, go ahead and do that. Shift through the hips, wiggling them right to left. You can even roll little circles through the shoulders. Just gently moving through the body. And then begin to move your props aside. You have two options here, depending on your back and how your back feels. If when you find a go ahead and press your legs towards each other. If when you begin to round forward, you feel discomfort in the low back, then I'm going to have you do something a little different. So just hang with me. If a traditional child's pose on the ground feels really good for you and this is something restful, the forehead can come down, the arms can come down. I'm going to have you stay where you are here, and I'm going to have you thread the right hand under the space of the left arm. And this is where you'll be. If you'd like to bring the hips up a little, you can. You can also place support between the backs of the thighs and the calves for this. Now, if rounding of the spine is aggravating to your back, if you have bulging discs or anything like that, I'm going to have you come up to table, and you're going to do this puppy style or heart melt style. So instead for you, you're going to thread from table, hips over knees, the right hand still under the space of the left arm, but you're going to let your head and your shoulder come down with a nice straight spine. You can extend the left arm long either way or keep it bent. You can tuck the toes and get a bit of a toe stretch. Or you can stay exactly how you are. If you feel the need to adjust or to try one version or the other, either from child's pose or that heart melt shape, go ahead. Do whatever one serves your body best. And then as soon as you are able to bring your focus, bring your attention back to your breath. Letting it be the true doorway opening to your practice. Noticing the kinds of thoughts that come through the mind. Without judgment, just noticing and welcoming. Perhaps there are stories being replayed, scenarios that you're reliving. Those are past thoughts. Give yourself permission to be released from those, at least for now. Try and see if you can shift. If not to the present moment, if the present moment is too hard for you to stay in right now, that's okay. It's understandable. It can be really difficult. The breath can be your anchor for the present moment, but you also can give yourself permission to think about the future. Instead of worrying about the future, though, think about something that you are looking forward to. It can be something that's an unknown timeline. Maybe you don't know when it's going to happen. Maybe there's something very specific that you're hoping for to happen. Let this time be a time of hope, of excitement, even of daydreaming. Using the breath as your doorway into this future thought, this future hopefulness, happiness. Each breath taking you deeper and deeper. Preparing to come out of the shape now, bringing hands in front of you, perhaps to tabletop. If you're in a child's pose, it might feel nice to open up through the front of the pelvis. You can begin to dip the pelvis down and forward, finding a seal-like shape. If this is too intense, you can come down to forearms, find the Sphinx. Just know that we are going back to the other side. It would feel good. You can tuck the toes and begin to lift the knees up. And now let's come back to the other side. So either pressing back towards that child's pose and then threading the left arm under the space of the right. Temple comes down, shoulders towards the ground. Or finding yourself in table, hips over knees, and then threading the needle, the left arm through the space of the right. Choosing how you'd like to position your right arm here. Nice long spine, lifted tailbone. And again, using the breath to settle in here. Either continuing that thought stream that you had before or looking for something new to be excited about or even reflective of. Letting the breath be the boss. Either natural stream of air coming in and out, you just observing it, being present, being witness to it, or perhaps you have a more active role, mindfully deciding when to inhale, when to exhale, and for how long. Letting the body be soft, completely at ease. A few more breaths here. Try and stretch them out. Let each one feel like relief, cleansing, maybe even cooling if you like. You can pretend you have a straw between your lips and breathe in and out through that straw. You can roll the tongue and breathe in and out through the tongue that's now shaped like a straw. Slow and steady. And now we're going to prepare to come out of the shape, coming back to hands and knees, and then either stretching the legs long behind you and again going in towards that seal or that cobra shape, or settling into your Sphinx shape. Option to do this with support once again. That just means placing some sort of prop beneath the rib cage. Helps take the weight off the shoulders and the elbows. Then tuck the chin so the back of the neck is long. And that applies to no matter which one you've chosen, either that seal or that Sphinx. Nice long back of the neck as the crown of the head goes straight forward. Noticing where your edge is. If this is too deep, too intense, go ahead and come down to the forearms. It might feel good to bend the knees and then flex and point through the feet. Maybe very gentle circles through the ankles. One direction, then the other, very slowly. And then release all the way down to the belly. Turn your head towards the left. You can place a pillow for your head with the palms, or you can cactus the arms, but we're looking towards the left. And then we're going to begin to draw that left knee up, finding our half frog. So the inside of the thigh is towards the floor. The knee is drawing up towards that bent left elbow. The foot can be flexed or relaxed, doesn't matter. But let the entire front of the body be heavy. Giving yourself some space for thoughts, not regulating, just observing. Can you feel the breath as the doorway into the shape? Can you use your breath to soften the body, to feel more relaxed physically, which then relaxes you emotionally, mentally? Recognizing that the body is supported and safe. Begin to press through the left foot to straighten the leg and send it right alongside next to the right. Turn your head towards the right, and we're going to go straight into our half frog on the other side. So drawing the right knee up, keeping the right knee bent, allowing that right foot to either be flexed or relaxed. Inside of the right thigh, heavy towards the floor. The entire front of the body is heavy towards the floor. As you take a deep breath in, feel the back of the body expand skyward. Take up more space, more width, more depth. Taking a few more breaths here in this half frog. And then the transition, we're just gonna let the right hand come to the floor, and you're gonna start to push until you can roll over onto your back. You might need to shift and adjust a little bit, but now we're laying on our backs. From here, you're gonna bring hands to knees, bring knees to hands. You can keep the arms stretched long, or you can hug them in. Find some movement. Nice and slow. Moving through honey. Just moving through the hips. There'll be some external rotation here. So as you begin to widen the knees, can you imagine the insides of the thighs spiraling up towards the top of the body, even up towards the sky? Moving, swaying like the wind. And then eventually bringing the soles of the feet together, letting the knees come apart. Natural curve of the spine. Don't scoop the tailbone under to imprint the low back into the floor. Instead, we want that natural curvature. So if you need to support that curvature by placing either a little blanket roll or towel roll underneath your lumbar spine, just above the sacrum, go ahead. We want a nice neutral spine. Gently tuck the shoulder blades underneath you, broadening the collarbones. Take a deep breath in and a deep breath out. Notice if you need some support beneath the thighs or the knees. You can also place weight again once you're settled onto the low belly or even the feet. Help anchor down, maybe both. If you don't have anything to place weight, no sandbag or rice bag, you can place both hands over the low belly and just let that contact be enough. Finding your breath, thinking breath is the doorway into the pose, into the mind frame, mindset. Finding a softness and ease. This is a really great time if you are an iRest practitioner to begin finding your way towards your inner resource. If you are not an iRest practitioner, I'm going to guide you through this. I'd like you to think about what your happy place is. If someone said, "What's your happy place? Go to your happy place." What would that look like? Is it somewhere that you frequent, somewhere you've been? Is it a scene, somewhere that you've seen on TV or a movie or a magazine? It could be somewhere inside or outside. Oftentimes we find it as a place in nature. It's our calling home. But other times it's somewhere warm and cozy inside or even cool inside. Begin adding great detail to the space, and notice as you do so a feeling of peace, relaxation and ease coming over the body. The inner resource is not this place that you've created, but it's the feeling that this place gives you. So perhaps there's favorite imagery or symbols, people, animals, activities, anything that when you think about, you feel this wave washing over you of happiness, joy, of being and well-being. sometimes it's helpful to invite in loved ones, especially the loved ones that we don't get to see very often, or perhaps they've passed, that we miss, a memory that we have with them. And not letting feelings of sadness, of missing them, and come into the inner resource, but instead just the happiness of joy of what was. Our inner resources often change, morph, just like we do. So notice what is present right now. What does your happy place look like? Who and what is present? What senses are being activated? Are there smells or tastes? Sensations on the skin of either a breeze, of warmth or coolness. Can you let that come over the entire body as a felt sense? Truly experiencing your inner resource. It's a tangible, applicable feeling to the body. Noticing all the while what happens to the mind. Softening. Feeling of peace and calm. Keeping this feeling, keeping this inner resource with you. Begin to close the legs, bring the knees together, and bring the feet wide on the mat. So now the knees are resting in. At this time, if you'd like to tuck the tailbone and let the low back round into the mat, it's a good time for that. Hands can still remain on the belly, or perhaps you take up more space and they come off the mat, palms up. Still receiving, using the breath back through the doorway to your inner resource, creating these strong pathways to feelings of relaxation, feelings of happiness and ease. If it's hard to find, if nothing is coming to mind, that's okay. Just be with whatever thoughts are present, welcoming them, not judging them or trying to change them. Letting yourself and your thoughts be welcome just as you are, just as they are. Another breath in. And with a sigh out, imagine you can send all of your thoughts away, creating a blank space in the mind. Begin to straighten the left leg and hug the right knee into the chest. Option to move that leg around in circles or other shapes, designs, patterns that the mind can create. And then we're going to begin to send the sole of the foot up towards the sky. You can hold on to the back of the leg. Again, little space between your low back and the floor. So if you need to even actively lift that space away, so you could slide your hand under that space, go ahead. Or use again a blanket or towel roll under there. And you can keep the knee as bent as you need it to be, but send the sole of the foot up. So begin to flex through the ankle, bringing the toes back towards the shins. And you can point the toe, feel a stretch through the front of the leg down towards the front of the foot, and flex sensation through the back of the leg. Continuing this, getting a hamstring stretch. Also recognizing that this is coming up the low back, up through the glutes, but we're keeping the low back safe by keeping that nice space. Now, keeping the leg lifted, begin to bend through the left knee and plant the left foot down. And then cross that right foot in front of the left thigh. Gently use the hand to press the right knee, the right thigh away. Notice if there's any shifting that happens in the hips. Maybe that's not necessary for you to press. Instead, maybe you'd like to begin to reach towards the back of the left thigh. Now we're going to Goldilocks it. So if this is too much, you have an option to use a block or prop, whatever you had, and just place that left foot on top of it. So you're still lifting that foot away from the ground, but not so much that maybe you feel too much pinching in the front of the right hip or too much stretch on the outside. Finding what is right for you. Really honoring and respecting your edges that the body's telling you about. This is our supported deer pose. This is great to relieve sciatic pain. Just release. Stretch through the piriformis. That way anything that's tight will open up. And we are going to continue that release of the low back by planting the left foot down, keeping the right leg exactly how it is, but we're going to cross using the left hand, grabbing the right knee across the body so the right foot comes flat towards the floor. Now, if that's too intense, you can place a prop under the foot so that there's not quite as much depth there. Arms can be cactus to a T or down by the side. Be very aware of what's happening in the low hips, the low back. Allowing the spine to move and twist how it wants to. We're not stabilizing. We're not gluing one area to the mat and then twisting the rest. The whole body's connected. So let's let everything move how it needs to move. You can imagine going to an arcade and one of the prizes is those snakes that you can kind of wiggle and the whole rest of the body wiggles. That's kind of how we are. We can move the end and then the rest is going to need to adjust and wiggle and acclimate. So one thing is anchored, the rest needs to be able to move. Let's come back up and stretch that right leg long on the mat. Maybe roll through the foot. Stretch the right leg long. And now let's go ahead and hug the left knee in. Some movements here if you need it. Circling, swaying. Remember space beneath the low back as we begin to stretch that right sole of the foot up towards the sky, supporting behind the left leg. Bending and flexing. Feeling the stretch, feeling sensation. And then pausing right there, right when you feel it. Not going too deep, we're not going as deep as we possibly can. We never do in yin. Keep this more active, you can flex through the heel and find some resistance from thigh to hands and hands to thigh. That's that wood element coming in. It makes it more of an active stretch versus a passive stretch, which is welcome in yin yoga. Now bending the right knee, placing the sole of the foot flat, and then finding ourselves in our supine or reclined deer pose. If this is enough, stay here. If you need to interlace your fingers behind the right thigh, you certainly can, or use that prop under the right foot. looking for release. There's a difference between releasing and stretching. We want to release the low back. We want to release the psoas. We don't necessarily want to stretch those things. We want to release them. It's a fine line describing the difference, but just think of it as finding relief versus finding more movement, more range of motion there. We want those places to support us. If we overstretch, then they no longer can. Releasing is all about letting go of tightness, of what's holding us too tight so we can't move the way we need to move, to function, to be comfortable. And now let the right foot come back down. And we're drawing the left knee across the body for that twist. Again, option to place a supporting prop underneath the left foot in the ground, or bring that foot all the way flat. Tucking the shoulder blades beneath you, noticing any discomfort of the low back, hips. Eyes can be opened or closed. Using the breath. Using it to open the door and to walk through into the space of the pose, into the shape. Coming back up, unwinding the legs, stretching them both nice and long. Reach the arms overhead. Make yourself as long as you can. And then hug the knees into the chest. Now, if a deep rounding in the low back doesn't feel good for you, so this is sort of it's called wind relieving posture, where we really hug ourselves in. You can also find Uppanasana, and that's more of a straight arm position, and it does allow space again of the low back. Again, it's more wood elements. You can feel resistance from knees to hands, hands to knees, a little bit of stress in the shoulder girdle, which is good. Even pull the belly down. You can squeeze the thighs towards each other and away from each other at the same time. Activate a little bit of heat in the body. Either staying here or finding a happy baby. Finding some relief in the hips, noticing how that makes the low back feel. Be rocking side to side, gently and slowly massaging the low back. The tailbone is anchored down. If it's not anchored down, if the low back is really rounded, this may not feel so good. Only do what feels good. Another alternative for this is to place the feet flat on the floor and then just windshield wiper the shins from side to side. And then we are going to prepare to enter an early Shavasana. Going to do a guided meditation. So we just need a little bit of extra time for that. So get yourself very comfortable. If you have the props to do kind of that Yoga Nidra supported recliner chair situation, I'd recommend it. That would be placing some support for the upper back, the upper body, and then maybe even something under the knees here so that you can lay back and be very comfortable. Weight on the low belly, the middle belly, or the chest. Maybe just open. Finding any position of the legs that feels good for you. Looking for deep softening, relaxation of the body so that the mind can follow suit. Oftentimes, if we set the body up to be completely relaxed, the mind will follow in time. So taking your time, getting settled. Another option is for a supported bridge. That might feel really good after this low back stuff we did. So for that, laying down and placing some prop, some support under the sacrum, and then letting the legs either be stretched long or bent knees. I'm going to be reading a guided meditation written by Julie T. Lusk. I do make some adjustments as I read it and change things, but if you're interested, that's where it's coming from. So giving her the credit here. We're going to do a gratitude and abundance guided meditation. For your Shavasana, if you prefer just to tune out, allow my voice just to fade into the background and find your own peace. Find your own inner resource if you'd like. Inviting joy and softness into the body. If you'd like that guided meditation, stay with me. Allow my voice to become your voice as you find a softer, deeper space within. Letting the eyes close. And finding your breath. We'll begin simply by saying, I am thankful for, and then you'll complete the sentence for yourself. You're going to do this over and over, but do it at your own pace and notice what comes up. Perhaps even using each rhythm of the breath. Inhaling, I am thankful for, and then as you exhale, in your mind to yourself saying what that is. It can be anything. Taking this time to settle in, to begin listing all of the things that you're grateful for. And don't worry about forgetting anything. Deep down, you already know. So if you forget to list something, it's okay. Inhaling, I am thankful for, and exhaling whatever that is. And now it's time to direct your attention to special areas of appreciation. So just like you've been doing, complete the statement, I am thankful for. Except this time, focus on the material things that you're thankful for. The things that we often feel like we shouldn't address or acknowledge because they feel shallow or materialistic. But allow yourself to feel gratitude for those things, for the comfort they provide, for the convenience they offer. Giving yourself a few moments here. What materialistic items are you thankful for? This time, focus on all the people that you appreciate. Inhaling, I am thankful for. And then exhaling, either seeing their face or saying their name. Now, call to mind the present circumstances that you are grateful for. being thankful for what's pleasing and desirable in your life. And now, the undesirable circumstances. From the perspective of gratitude and with faith in lessons it has for you. So even the things that you don't like or wish that were not happening, find gratitude for the lessons you can learn, for the messengers that these things are, the teachers. Again, this is part of welcoming, observing. Now, remember various circumstances from the past that you are grateful for. Start with desirable circumstances. Perhaps situations that led you right to where you are, to other places that you've been that you feel happy to think about. And now, the undesirable circumstances from the past. Once again, noticing that they brought you exactly where you are. That hardship and struggle, that discomfort, inconvenience still led you right here. Part of the past always helps us figure out where we're going. Feel gratitude for that. Complete the statement, I am thankful for, and reflect upon personal qualities that you have and those that you admire. Finding the positive about yourself. Perhaps even the uncomfortable qualities that you have that make you unique and valuable. The qualities that you may seem to feel are undesirable or even difficult, other people might really admire within you. If you have the ability to bring up subjects that are uncomfortable, to offer new perspective, to be honest, open, vulnerable. Finding gratitude for that now. And then when you're ready, let your mind roam to wherever else you appreciate. Feeling gratitude fill the body, wash over it and spill out. Notice what you are feeling in this moment. Explore what's happening in your heart area, in your mind, and within. Return to your breath as your way of centering, as the doorway all things. Bring to mind your dreams and desires. Either allow them to bubble up from inside, or consciously choose whatever you'd like to have more than anything else in life. Thinking of this as that heartfelt desire. It can be anything that's meaningful to you. And begin to visualize those dreams and desires coming to fruition, being complete. What would it be like when your wishes come true? What will it feel like? Acknowledge that abundance is all around, and there's more than enough for you. In fact, there's enough for everyone. Believe in your dreams and be ready to recognize opportunities as you put effort into your dreams and desires. To help yourself move along, let your dreams go. Release them so that they can start manifesting in your life. It doesn't help to try and control what and how and when things happen, but it does help to actively plant the seeds, to cultivate your resources, and to act on opportunities that are in accord with the dreams you have of abundance. It's time for this experience to come to a close and for you to make the transition back. As you begin to move through the fingers and toes to wake up the body and the mind. Spend a few moments reflecting on your experience. And when you're ready, return your attention to the here and the now. Feeling your body. Feeling it so connected and in tune with the heart and the mind. Grateful and adapting. Stretch the arms overhead and the legs long. Get as long as you can. Wiggle through the fingers and toes. Lift up the rib cage. Let the ribs expand and flare apart from the center line. And begin to bend through the knees and hug them in towards the chest. Rocking side to side. Massaging the low back, but also moving through the hips. And then begin transitioning either to a seated position or to a side laying position, using that as a step between. If you're in your side laying position, perhaps deciding if there's anything you'd like to leave behind, to shed, to grow from, and to leave next to your mat, maybe in a little pile. And then when you are ready, pressing up. Finding that seated position that is comfortable yet tall. It creates space in the spine, yet a softness in the seat, a heaviness in the pelvis. Breathing in, letting the crown of the head grow and belong towards the sky, even the heart space as well. As you exhale, the pelvis and the hips sink heavy, belonging to the earth. Rooting down. Continuing this. Let's breathe together, inhaling and exhaling. Inhale and exhale. Now find your own breath. Either hands to the legs or hands to the heart. Let the eyes close. enjoying this moment of peace. Acknowledging that our breath is the doorway in. I'd like to thank you so much for sharing your practice with me today. The light in me sees and honors the light that's in you. Namaste.